Today, there is another reported COVID-19 case in Sriracha. We cannot lower our guard. Practicing Dhamma is rather odd. It's joyful. The more we practice, the happier we are. At the same time, the more we practice, the more suffering we come to witness. So it is not certain whether it leads to happiness or suffering. When we keep practicing Dhamma, the heart or mind becomes free and relaxed. It's the happiness in itself without having to appease anyone. For Dhamma practice, the more suffering we witness, the less firmly we attach to the world and to the suffering itself. The heart or mind becomes calmer and happier. Calmness is important. Happiness is embedded in calmness. Nibbana. When discussing Nibbana, we usually imagine it to be all sorts of things. Some envision Nibbana as a world. Where the noble ones and all the Buddhas reside. That is not the Nibbana as described in Buddhism. Nibbana has its own specific characteristic called Visesa Laksana. It is portrayed as calmness, Santi Laksana. The characteristic of Nibbana is calmness. In the same manner, Nibbana is described as the ultimate emptiness. No other emptiness is comparable. It is also described as the greatest bliss, Nippanang Paramang Sukhang. Therefore, within peacefulness, happiness, and emptiness exist, all connected. Practicing Dhamma won't allow you to gain control over Nibbana. Practicing Dhamma will allow us to gain access to the calmness and happiness. Then there will be no suffering. You'll see that the world is empty, devoid of self, devoid of labels, such as people, animal, us, and them. The world is empty inside and out. That is the knowing element. Dhamma and the Dhamma element are empty. The mind fuses into a single entity with the emptiness of the world and of that of the universe. They are equal. When the mind still isn't able to gain access to Nibbana, it is not in equilibrium with the world. Upon closer observation, we'll see that our mind is one thing, and that the outer world is another different thing. We typically see the outer world as either happy sometime or unhappy at other times. We see it as chaotic and devoid of true peace. The truth is that the outer world is empty. What is not empty is our mind. Our mind wobbles and wavers under the power of desires and defilements. We accuse the world of causing chaos. But that's in fact how the world is. It has been like this as for long as anyone can remember. It is our mind that is chaotic and deluded, that is satisfied with certain phenomena and dissatisfied with others. The mind stripes and fabricates. The mind is neither empty nor calm. If there is no peace, santi, within the heart or mind, then there is no peace anywhere. You cannot blame the world for not providing it. Now we come to practice Dhamma so that one day we can understand the world. What we refer to as the world comprises inner and outer worlds. The outer world consists of external matter, of all the things that surround us. The inner world consists of the 5 aggregates. The body and mind are the inner world. Keep learning the truth of this world till it is understood that the world is empty of itself. Especially when we come to witness the 5 aggregates as non-self and empty. If you can see this, the outer and inner worlds will be aligned. They will be equally empty. Venerable Master Dun used to say that whenever we can see that the mind and its surroundings are a single entity, will transcend suffering. They are the same thing. They are all equally empty. That there is an I, you, human or animals, etc., is because the mind is identified with those. In reality, it is empty itself. However, this emptiness does not mean that there is nothing. It is not like a vacuum that is empty and nothingness. It's empty because it's peaceful, not wavering, and filled with a vast amount of bliss. Regarding the practice of Dhamma, if the mind gain access to, or if it senses the Nibbana, it will be immeasurable happiness. Without Lord Buddha, this kind of Dhamma would have remained untamed, except for by Vajjic Buddhas, solitary Buddha. The rest of us cannot discover the Nibbana on our own. We don't possess that extent of spiritual faculties to become Samma Sambuddha or Vajjic Buddha. So we listen to the teaching of Lord Buddha. As a means of practicing Dhamma, to learn about the world, the inner world, which is the 5 aggregates, Rupa, Nama, our body and mind. If this were understood with crystal clarity, you would understand the outer world as well. Regarding the practice of Dhamma, we'll be able to sense that our body and the outer world are the same entity. Equally, they are just masses composed of elements. That you feel like this mass is us is due to a wrong interpretation, wrong thoughts and wrong views of the mind. This body that we highly value and care so much about is in fact infinitesimal dust compared to the world. This world that we hold in high regard due to its size is minuscule compared to the universe, which seems immense only because we confer it in high regard. But it is almost insignificant. It is empty. It arises, changes, then falls away. The universe itself keeps arising and falling, circling and changing. Therefore, if we come to practice Dhamma and have the mindfulness that knows within this body, the mind will let go of the attachment and identification towards the body. We will realize that our body and the world are the same thing. They are both masses made up of substances. A true self does not exist. The body that is identified as ours is actually a mass of substances and elements that belongs to the world. All the feelings or sensations happen through contacts. As soon as the eyes see images, the ears hear sounds, the nose smells, the tongue tastes, or the body feels, happiness or suffering will arise. Attachment and identification will take place. And either good or evil, or neither good nor evil fabrication will take place. Chakku prasad. Optic nerve that sees the images is indeed empty. The images that it makes contact with are just like a dream, empty. Sota prasad, auditory nerve, is merely a mass of substances and elements. It is non-self. It is empty. It makes contact with sounds. Sound is also empty. There are lots of noises and sounds in this world. They arise and fall away. A while ago the weather was hot. I sat here and turned on the fan. It took my voice away. See, the voice became empty. We'd speak out. Then our voice disappears, spreading out to the world. Ghana prasad. Nasal nerve is merely a mass of substances and elements which make contact with odors. Odors stay temporarily and then swept away. Keep observing the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body. They all belong to the world. The eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body are substances. We borrow all the substances from the world. We use them for making contact with objects, that is, images, sounds, odors, tastes, and textile objects. If we are able to see that the eyes, ears, nose, tongues, and body are empty, the images, sounds, odors, tastes, and textile objects will also be empty. There is no significance to it. The heart or mind is another type of nature. It is the nature of knowing objects. The heart or mind relies on the earth, water, fire, and air elements to form. I used to accompany Venerable Master Doon, and he told me how all Nama Rupa of the universe originated. It causes rhymes to arise. Dimensions and planets are countless because there is no end. They evolve from materials and the space among materials, and among materials and non-materials. Materials exist in space. That's why they move. With the materials and with the non-materials, life prospers. Living things from the earlier times existed without a soul. He told me such. Whether it is true or not, I do not know. It is knowledge. Then they evolve from soulless living things to living things with a soul. Therefore, the mind manifests materials into existence as well. Once the mind arises and possesses energy, it starts processing and working. This then leads to actions. Once actions are taken, then cycle goes on. That is, defilements arise, and then an action is taken, thereby resulting in the fruits of that action. It keeps on spinning in this loop. Once the body breaks apart, it then searches for another body. The mind indeed arises and falls away. It's not permanent. Keep practicing Dhamma, and you'll see that ultimately the body and the mind, as well as the inner and outer world, they're all equal, empty, insignificant, and dreamlike. We think the five aggregates to be real, but in fact we are dreaming. Actually, they belong to the world. We are dreaming that they are ourselves. We practice Dhamma to learn the truth of the body and the truth of the mind, so that one day we'll truly understand that the five aggregates are empty. They manifest out of causes. They arise, stay for a while, and once the power of their causation is replenished, they fall apart. Nobody can take possession of their body forever. Not even Lord Buddha could. He could not take possession of the five aggregates. When the time comes, they need to be returned because that's the way it is. They do not belong to anyone. They belong to the world and not us. Having practiced up to a certain point, you see that the body and the world are the same entity. Thoughts and feelings arise upon contact. Once there is contact, they arise and then fall away. Practice and they will converge to the mind. Venerable Master said that the day you see the mind and its surroundings are the same entity, is the day that you will transcend suffering. Can you feel that our mind and its surroundings are not the same entity? People who do not practice Dhamma feel that the whole self, body and mind, and the surroundings are different entities. Continue practicing Dhamma, and you'll see that the whole self is the same entity as its surroundings. Thoughts and feelings are just a dream. However, ultimately, we'll see that the mind itself is empty. It's empty the same as the outer world. That the mind runs around and that it moves here and there mean that the soaring desire has occurred. It is because there is a duality of two different things that are uneven. For example, if you have two water jars, one tall, the other short. Once they are connected by a tube, the water will flow from the higher point to the lower point, and then stop and they reach the same level. The mind sees that the outer world has different levels and altitudes. Therefore, it flows here and there. But once it sees that everything is equal, speaking of equality, there's not any tools for measurement. They are equal in terms of the three characteristics. This body and the outer world are subject to the three characteristics. This mind is also subject to the three characteristics. Therefore, the mind and the outer world are even. It does feel like that. The feeling that our mind and the outer world are even in terms of emptiness is when the mind transcends the soaring desire. The mind with wanting and propelling is with desire. It jumps to grab this object, then another object. If you can see that the mind and the nature that surrounds it are one and the same entity, then there will be no moving here and there, no action. Therefore, no defilements. There is no ignorance, avijja. You thoroughly know that all the worlds, both physical and mental parts, are subject to the three characteristics. The mind that propels out will no longer happen. Therefore, knowing the worlds with crystal clarity is knowing of suffering with crystal clarity. That which is called suffering are the physical and mental aggregates. To know suffering with crystal clarity means that the cause of suffering has been eliminated and that cravings have been eliminated. There will be no more drifting of the mind. Our mind is still wavering and moving. It drips through the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. Once it drips, the mind becomes deluded and gets caught up in phenomena, because the mind considers this phenomena to be a good thing, better or worse than other phenomena. If there is comparison, there will be drifting away. But if you see that everything is even, there will be no drifting of the mind. The whole world is empty. Then the mind is empty. Once the mind becomes empty, there will be no soaring desire, no more striving, drifting, or moving. The mind will gain access to true peace, santi. And the outer world can no longer make this mind waver. While being on the path of Dhamma practice, the outer world is moving and changing, making the mind waver accordingly. A loved one is taken away and our mind wavers. The one we fancy yet possessed, that is, there is wanting, our mind wavers. If you can see that everything is just like a dream, that they are all the same whether we like them or not, then now, no matter what is in front of our eyes will dissipate. They dissipate just like when we wake up from our dreams. Everything that existed in the dream no longer exists. If we keep practicing, we'll realize that we are actually dreaming. Whenever we wake up, everything that seems significant will vanish. The mind will be discharged from the world of dreams and no longer cling to anything. There will be happiness and peace. It will gain access to the high virtue Dhamma, Nibbana. Nibbana exists even now. There is no owner to Nibbana. No one can take possession of Nibbana. However, Nibbana can be accessed with the purified mind. Nibbana is the true Dhamma. It is the Dhamma that is truly beyond any fabrications, whereas all other things are fabricated Dhamma. If you truly understand the fabricated Dhamma, the mind will run out of fabrications and will gain access to the unfabricated Dhamma, Nibbana. And there lies happiness and peace like you can't imagine. This is what my masters told me. I have memorized and accordingly am conveying their message. Don't get me in trouble. Keep practicing. You'll see more of the suffering. What is the suffering? The physical and mental parts, or the five aggregates. The physical and mental parts are the world, that is the outer and inner worlds. They are actually suffering themselves. They are a burden. We can see them in the aspect of the burden. that the mind needs to carry. Once the mind realizes this truth, it will let go of the burden in the world and won't carry other new burdens. Sometimes the mind lets go of the burden in this world, but goes on carrying burdens in subtler worlds. That is, world of form, Rupalok, and formless Arupalok. If keep practicing, you'll see that these three worlds, world of form, Rupalok, the formless worlds, Arupalok, and the world of sense desire, Kamalok, are empty. They are all just like a dream. The mind will no longer be thirsting. It will carry no burden. Peace and happiness, Santi, arise, and the mind is no longer swaying according to the world. Neither grief nor a grain of the defilements would fabricate the mind. The mind will gain access to safety and will be secure. What is it safe from? It is safe from the five evils, the five man. At the moment that the body breaks apart, the evils of the aggregates, Kantaman, get to work. However, the mind is not miserable, because the evils of defilements, Gilet mind, cannot make the mind miserable. The evils of karmic formations, Apisankara mind, cannot fabricate the mind to be mournful. The evil deity, Tevaputtaman, such as the jealous mind and so on, can no longer make the transcendent mind waver. Not even death can. Therefore, this mind will gain access to true security. It will transcend the power of the five evils. Therefore, keep practicing every day. Maintain the 5 precepts. Stay moral. Then train the mind to be within yourself. Once the mind becomes self-aware, we will learn the truth of the body and mind. Once you have learned the truth of the body and mind, you understand that regardless of whether it is the body and mind, or whether the inner world, or materials in the outer world, they are all impermanent, suffering and non-self. The mind will subsequently loosen the attachment from the world of sense desire, Kamalok, world of form, Rupalok, and formless world, Arupalok, because they are all subject to impermanence, suffering, and non-self. If the mind is pleased with the world of form or formless world, then it carries more burden and will suffer again. Therefore, to practice Dhamma is to learn the truth of the worlds until you become Lokavitu, knower of the worlds. It is when you know that this world is just like a dream, and under the 3 characteristics, nothing that should be taken too seriously. The mind will lose its attachments and identities. The mind then transcends the world. Transcending the world or being above the world is supermundane, Lokuttara, which can be accessed in different levels. Ultimately, it will see that it returns the mind back to the world. It does return. We practice Dhamma and diligently develop the noble mind. The ultimate point of Dhamma practice is to return the noble mind back to the world. One thing that remains is the knowing element. It is the element without owners. It is empty and equivalent to Nibbana. This knowing element or this kind of mind, I don't want to call it a mind because it is nothing like a mind. This knowing element is the one that sends us Nibbana. It is with Nibbana in a sense. It can also be said that the knowing element carries the Dhamma, the ultimate Dhamma without fabrications, Nibbana. This knowing element is the receptacle for Nibbana, but it neither holds on to it nor is possessed by it. It's difficult to find the appropriate word for it. Keep practicing. Whatever defilements you may have, try to curb them. Truly uncover yourself and do not take your own side. Whatever wholesome deeds you have yet to do, do them. Then practice learning the truth of the world. Physical part, mental part, body and mind. Keep studying them until the mind can let go and see Nibbana. In terms of bad deeds, all of us have been there and done that. Even Arahants, the noble ones, or Lord Buddha, before they accessed Dhamma, they conducted misdeeds. Therefore, when we do bad deeds, do not feel too miserable. Prior to becoming good, we were bad. Nobody is perfect. Otherwise, you wouldn't have taken birth in the first place. That you were born means there are still defilements. However, do not preserve those defilements. People in the world protect their defilements. They create a good-looking layer to shield their own defilements so that others don't see. As practitioners, we need to be able to see these defilements. No matter how many there are, keep knowing them and not protecting them. To protect them is what other people normally do. It actually happens when you try to give themselves a reason for why it is necessary to conduct a particular misdeed, to convince themselves that their actions are not bad. This is when you do not know how to make use of the defilements that you have. It is common for everyone to have defilements, for as long as one hasn't transcended suffering. But once you have defilements, do not protect it. It's applied especially for the monks. Whenever monks do something wrong, there is a system to confess the offense. Lately, this offense confession has become merely a ritual. Its true purpose is to confess the misdeeds that have been conducted, and to ask someone to witness that the confessor will from now on be more cautious and not repeating the same mistake. They are being open and even expose their own repulsive things hidden in their hearts. Therefore, for the rest of us, having defilements is not something uncommon. We just shouldn't protect them. Instead, we make use of them to alleviate our consistentness and defilements. If we protect the defilements, we also protect the consistentness. This goes the same to the lay people. If you have evil things in your heart, do not try to cover or pretend it is something it's not. Like when some politicians want to be corrupt. They say that politicians can be corrupt as long as their contributions are worthwhile. This is when you try to deviate from the truth to protect defilements and to mask what is wrong as right. Monks especially need to be aware of this issue. We need to have the audacity to confront our defilements. Without the audacity, we will use our defilement to battle with others. We need to be aware, cautious, and know how to make use of these defilements. Once known, we should not satisfy them by conducting the misdeed. After some time, the mind will get closer to absolute purity. This is true for both monks and lay people. Even though you are in monkhood, you are still a mundane person like lay people are. So, there is a lot to learn. Therefore, be patient in facing your own defilements. truly understand yourself. And then the heart or mind can make progress. Morality will be better if we have the audacity to face our defilements. Morality will prosper by itself. For example, if we commit a misdeed, do not dwell on it and feel sad. We only need to realize that this is not good, have the lesson learned, then promise not to do it again. Defilements, bad karma, and unwholesomeness certainly yield suffering. Therefore, if we do not want to suffer, we should not indulge the defilements. To satisfy the defilements can result in deterioration in either morality or dharma or both. Sometimes it does not violate any precepts. It's simply wrong to dharma. Then it's difficult to make progress in the dharma practice. By violating the precepts, it's impossible to practice dharma. So learn about yourself, the body and mind. See the bad consequences and suffering that defilements bring. At some point, it will be able to let go and the mind will gain access to the absolute purity little by little. At the beginning of the talk, I said the more suffering you see, the happier you will become. To see the truth of the physicality and mentality and the body and mind, the more they are seen, do not protect or preserve them. The more the mind becomes loose and happy. Some make a mistake, and their compatriots or teacher point out the mistake. Do not be sad. Rather be grateful that there are still some people who are willing to warn you. If there is no one to warn you, this means that you are extremely bad and no one wants to get involved with you. They implement promatan, sanctioned punishment by silent treatment. If the master still warn you, it means you are receiving loving kindness. This goes the same to both monks and lay people. For some people, it is so difficult to warn them, so let them go. For people who are very obstinate, sometimes I need to tell them not to come to this temple anymore because they are beyond my help and have to let them go. Everyone has his own defilements, but we can start by learning about body and mind and be aware of our defilements. If the mind sees the consequences and suffering, it will gradually become lighter, cleaner, and brighter. Even the monks in the temple, some hide their defilements. I just have to wait for the right time. Once they have developed and are strong enough, I will tear off their masks. Then they'll get better. Some have a lot of defilements, they have been collecting them. Once their masks have been removed, they learn how to do it themselves, like peeling it off themselves. When they get to see the truth about themselves, their minds loosen the bonds. Therefore, the more bad consequences and suffering of the world are seen, the more the mind loosens the bonds from the world. Consequently, gain access to peace and blissfulness. This is safety. Is it too difficult? Maintain the 5 precepts and train to be aware of yourself. It is not easy to be self-aware. Like one of the monks here, it took him 3 months to achieve self-awareness. That's quick. Good. Keep practicing. Once you have become self-aware, the next task is to learn the truth about your body and mind. Do not just remain merely knowing. We must learn the truth of this inner world. If you understand your inner world, you understand the outer world as well. They are both merely physical and mental objects. Keep practicing. It will get to a point where it all clicks so that it can let go. The suffering will lessen. that the suffering lessens is when we feel happier. They are related to each other. In fact, when suffering decreases and shortens, you feel happier. The point where there is no more suffering is when you gain access to Nibbana. Suffering no longer exists because there is no more craving. It is the ultimate happiness. The point where there is no more suffering is the ultimate happiness. Suffering is the 5 aggregates, physical and mental parts, body and mind. Keep learning these. That's about all we have time for today.